It's time for wrestling news. And I happen to know that Boa wrestles with the all can eat buffet at IHOP.
I'd give real money if he'd shut up.
Wrestling News, episode 86, 5 Stitches, 4-Man E.
Hey folks, Comicbookman here. Welcome once again to my video Outhouse. It's time for
Wrestling News.
Wrestling News. And Wrestling News is coming to you from this place, Alternate Reality, which is located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Follow me. It's right up. Oh, never.
It's the wrestling cell phone, go on.
111th and Kedzie.
It's the wrestling center of the universe.
Alternate Reality. Random comics are always 15% off every day for everyone.
We wrestle with us.
Bo?
Yes.
The death of Randy Savage was our time about a month ago, right?
Yeah, about
More or less, about a month ago.
Yeah.
And the coroner's report has finally come back. And what did it say?
Basically, he died of a heart attack due to a large heart. They did a tox report which said he had caffeine and hydrocortisone in his system, but none of that contributed to his death. And Savage had a heart attack while driving, so the crash didn't kill him. A heart attack did.
Heart attack did. But the wife died too, right?
No, the wife's fine.
She's fine?
Yeah, she's
She was
fine.
in the car?
Oh, good. Sorry I killed you. I'm sorry.
She's, I think she got a broken leg, but she's fine.
Sorry. Okay.
His side of the car was...
Well, this guy was really toast. Yeah. Okay.
cheap. Not a lot of protection.
As always, our condolences go out to the Savage family. Randy Savage was a great wrestler and he was a great personality. And from Chicago boy.
Yes.
Chicago boy. And he will be missed. He will be missed, of course. Scott Hall, another sad story. Scott Hall, 52, was sentenced to 10 days in jail.
Yes, you remember he was at that bar and he got into a fist fight. We talked about all that
Yes.
stuff, and he was cussing out the cops and kicking out windows and basically saying, "I'm not taking this crap." So he's
That's always a good idea.
so he's going to jail. In fact,
You cops are pussies.
what's today's date?
Today?
July
Today is
2nd.
July the 2nd.
Scott will be in jail from July the 5th, and he'll be out of jail on July the 13th.
Hey!
So he'll
happy
be able
4th
to
of July.
celebrate the 4th of July, and then he'll
In
go
the
to
slam.
the slammer. Happy 4th.
Not in the slammer, but
Celebrate his
suspended.
freedom and then go to
Right,
jail.
right. So his freedom, and then go to jail.
Not in the slammer, but suspended is Salvador.
No.
Well,
Suspended. You're jumping ahead.
okay, well, Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy.
Suspended.
Suspended is Matt Hardy from TNA.
He posted on
What'd he do?
He posted on Twitter he was resting up for a couple of days, and it was revealed that he was suspended for TNA for A, always being late for events, and B, he and his brother and Matt's girlfriend had a video on YouTube on the Hardy Boys show in which Matt dared Jeff to tase his girlfriend. Could you see why some people at TNA would have a problem with that?
Well, did he do it?
Yes!
Even better.
Yes!
Even
Jeff
better.
tased her!
Even better.
Yes.
Even better.
Google it! It's out there!
How I hesitate to ask this. How stupid is he?
How stupid is she?
Wow.
Yeah, because she basically, they asked her and she said, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to see what it feels like. Tell you what, how about if I kick you in the see how that feels? I want to see how that feels like too.
So they told Matt, go home and sit for a while.
Meanwhile, released from the WWE is Salvador Chavo Guerrero Trois.
Yes, he actually asked for his cut because, now he'd been with the WWE since 2001, and he was actually the last wrestler who came from the WCW buyout left. So that means he'd been with the company for over 10 years. He had a pay-per-view match at the pay-per-view before the upcoming one that everyone wants to get now because of our last story. And he wrestled Sin
Which is
Cara.
coming up. It's a big one.
Yeah, he wrestled Sin Cara, and there was sort of a styles clash because they are, even though they're both Mexican, they wrestle different styles. The blame on the match not being good wasn't placed on Sin Cara because he doesn't know WWE style.
And he's new and beating a push.
And he's new, and and Triple H is like, this is my pet project.
This is my boy.
It was placed on Chavo, who basically said, you know,
Chavo!
he says, he said, look, I can wrestle better than most of the guys on the roster.
Even though I haven't shown it.
He said, you don't give me a chance to show
Well,
it.
okay.
And B, you book me in crappy feuds.
Well,
and so I'm leaving. Now they said, well, maybe he pop up in TNA. He could. His brother Hector Guerrero actually works there. And Chavo said, you know, I do other things besides this. So he's got.
What else does he do?
I think he's got like a food company.
Oh, food company. Okay.
But he's got stuff to do in Mexico. He'll make a living.
Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, of all people, are talking about doing what?
Well, there was a story on F4W Online that Brock Lesnar was in talks with the WWE along with Paul Heyman, and so people naturally assumed that meant that Lesnar and Heyman were coming back to the WWE.
Yeah.
They will be working with the WWE, but he's not coming back as a wrestler. This is a TV project. He's also under contract with the folks at UFC, and UFC is fully aware of the fact that they're doing this TV project. So he's not coming back to wrestle with the WWE. Now, the main reason people started talking about this is because of something that happened during our last story.
Okay, and we are at our last story. And our last story is the story that everybody on the internet who has any interest at all in wrestling has been talking about, and that is what CM Punk did at the end of Raw?
At the end of Raw.
At the end of Raw, the last week our time.
Yes, the last
week our time. Bo, I've watched the video. Why don't you set it up?
I actually had it posted on my Facebook page.
Yes.
And I found it. And I'm shocked it's still up, because I thought for some reason the WWE would have pulled it. But basically...
Well, not if it's what you think it is, but go ahead.
Well, he came out... Well, I think they couldn't pull it because they didn't film it. Somebody else did.
Yeah.
But he came out at the end of the show. He basically took the microphone. He sat up on the stage, cross-legged, and he did a promo in which he mentioned things such as he's leaving the WWE, why he's leaving the WWE. He's a Paul Heyman guy. He's a friend with Brock Lesnar. Both of them are gone. It would be better if the company would be better. Maybe if Vince McMahon was dead instead of being run by his idiot daughter Stephanie, his worthless brother and his worthless son-in-law,
which is what he said
literally
on the WWE show.
In fact, if you go to the Heyman Hustle website, the full transcript of what he said is posted, and it said it is probably one of the greatest promos I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. It's quite incredible.
What's cool about this promo is the fact that it was totally improvised.
Yeah.
He had some notes written on his wrist tape, and he basically went out to say stuff. Now, there was basically an assumption that if he said anything the WWE had a problem with, that they would cut his mic and they would go to black. Now, they let him say everything he wanted to say. His last story was about, they were talking about the WWE doing a child abuse thing, and they wanted to tell a story about Vince McMahon, and that's when the mic cut off. And then he's mouthing, oh, by the way, now you're cutting my mic off, and they faded to black.
Now, one thing I want you to make clear about this. This wasn't CM Punk going to backstage and saying, I got a couple of things I want to get off my chest. Can I have a few minutes? He talked to them about this ahead of time. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to freeball it, but this is what I'm going to talk about.
Right. This
is what I'm going to say. I'm going to call Stephanie an idiot. I'm going to call, Triple H a worthless moron. This is the stuff I'm going to say. And they said,
go right ahead.
Which is why this is great.
Right. Go right ahead, say whatever you're going to say. I mean, I don't even think they knew most of what he's saying, and they didn't. No one's talked about it. No one really knows if Triple H had a problem with it.
Well, it was ad-libbed with notes. I mean, I don't think
it was.
He probably didn't say anything that they didn't know was coming.
Well, all the notes of what he was going to say were on his wrist tape. I don't think anybody was back there looking at his tape. They knew he was going to say something. They said, "Why don't you go out and explain why you're leaving?" Now, he is leaving. His last match is at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. He may come back later on. His contract will be over. In fact, his contract's actually over right now. Yeah. He's sticking around an extra 2 weeks because of that thing.
Okay.
But the fact that they let him do the promo, and his promo was because he does feel a general level of being disrespected by the WWE. He got really, really annoyed at the beginning of the year when Triple H wandered back in from being gone for 6 months and all of a sudden get a WrestleMania main event program.
That was with The Undertaker.
That was with The Undertaker.
Plus, he was gone because he was hurt, right?
He was gone because he was hurt. He was supposed to come. Basically, the deal was Triple H was supposed to come back and fight Sheamus, the guy who took him out.
Yeah.
They blew that off the first night he came back. It's like, okay, he beat the living crap out of Sheamus. It's like, well, wait a minute. You went to the whole effort of setting up this program. You could have used the program to elevate Sheamus. Instead, you do the Undertaker thing. He's always had a generalized feeling that the WWE doesn't completely respect him. They said he had problems when he went to Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is run by Paul Heyman. They made fun of him. They did stuff like when he would do the little rolling thing with his wrist, the Muay Thai thing. He was made fun of by Raw general manager. He was always given some level of disrespect.
Part of that I have trouble buying because after Chris Benoit died, he became the Golden Boy along with Chris Jericho. They became the Golden Boys at WWE because they both subscribed to the.
Well, they were clean.
They were clean. They were clean. That they never took steroids. That they never took any sort of enhancements for themselves physically, which of course is what drove Chris Benoit over the edge. And when he did what he did, and the less said about all that, the better, because everybody knows it. But he became the Golden Boy. And that's where the whole Straight Edge Society thing came from. Jericho was brought back for the same reason, because he was clean, and they both had a good clean-cut image for the WWE.
But it's a little more complicated than that. Punk was wrestling WWE champion.
Yeah.
Punk was champion for a while.
Yeah.
Punk dresses relatively casually. He doesn't dress up a lot. The Undertaker says something like, "You're the WWE champion, that you should be dressing better." And all he said was, "This is the way I dress." Lo and behold, he
Not
lost
to
the
the
belt.
Undertaker.
Oh, well, he didn't say anything mean. He just said,
I know, but
"This is the way I dress," and everyone knows it. He said it, and actually it wasn't from Taker. It was head writer Michael Hayes.
Okay,
They pulled him from the belt and basically put him in limbo. That's when he That's when he let him grow the beard. That's when he let him add the tattoos. The Straight Edge Society all came out of him because they weren't doing anything with him anyway.
Yeah.
That was him. And he got to the point where everyone paid attention to him.
Yeah, but the Straight Edge Society, that came out of him being straight edge.
Well, yeah,
that he walked straight down the middle. Didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't take drugs, he didn't do any of that stuff. He was clean, and look what I've done, being clean, as opposed to some other people who shall remain nameless, who killed his family, who went crazy and did all this stuff.
I mean,
and that's what made him the poster boy.
Yeah, I mean, his biggest vice is he mainlines Pepsi. Which you can tell because he's got the Pepsi logo tattooed to him. And he's a big G.I. Joe fan.
Well, that just makes him a whore.
But what's really interesting is, I mean, he did this thing. He did this segment. It's been covered everywhere. I've never seen any wrestling promo. Jim Rome on ESPN's Rome is Burning, he offered him 45 minutes to go on the show and talk about the promo.
Yeah.
This is a wrestling promo.
Right.
You know, and if he does leave and come back, he'll be the biggest star in the company because people are going, he was able to say what he wanted. I mean, say what he wanted, and he got away with it. And at this point, you're at the point in the WWE where who else are you going to push?
Now, before we get out of here, who's he fighting at WrestleMania?
He's fighting John Cena.
Okay, what was Cena's attitude towards this?
Cena didn't have a problem with it at all.
Because as the bit went on, Cena gets beat up. He's in the ring, and as he's recovering from the horrible beating that he just had, Punk comes out and does his thing, and for the whole entire length of his speech,
Cena's recovering.
Cena's of course recovering because of such a
slowest
horrendous
recovery
beating.
in the world.
Yeah,
Well, what's real cute about it is when he comes out and he
give that man your Oscar.
When he sits cross-legged on the stage, the camera's set up so that you can see him through Cena's arms as he's staggering, and through the whole thing.
Amazing blocking.
Cena is staggering, and he's trying to get up, and you don't know if he can hear or not hear, and he's kind of looking towards him, and he's not looking towards him.
Somehow I think he can hear.
And it just kept going, and the only problem is this, it came off as more realistic.
Yeah.
Now, they taped the Raw that's going to be on the 4th of July right after that because they're in Australia right now.
Right.
So then it turned into a stupid wrestling gimmick because at the end of the show, because by the time you see this, it'll be over with. Vince McMahon's going to come out at the end of the show. He's going to go, what he said, he's indefinitely suspended. He's never going to wrestle here. He's out of the pay-per-view. That's it. And then Cena's going to come out and go, if he leaves, I leave. And then Vince is going to go, well, if you lose to him, you're fired.
And so we've got the pay-per-view back.
Yeah, so you've got.
So we're going to lose the pay-per-view and get it back all within the same show, which has never happened before at the WWE.
Right, so you've got the point where you're going to go. But actually, this is something Punk did this before he left Ring of Honor. He said he made it quite clear on his Twitter account and other places he was leaving.
Yeah.
And then he won the Ring of Honor belt supposedly on his last night, and then he stuck around for an extra 2 months, and then he left. And this is basically a copy of the same thing. But he'd been making clear for a while that he wanted to take some time off, and this is the way to take time off. And apparently they trusted him enough to let him go out there and say whatever the hell he wants to say.
Going out with a bang.
Going out with a bang. Okay.
And so, who knows what's going to happen. If he loses the match, who knows what he's going to do?
Leave.
Well, leave by doing what?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Torch the place. He'll torch the place.
Right.
He'll take hostages.
Right. It's like, I lost. Okay, what am I going to do with it? I mean, are you going to rip the ring apart?
Yeah.
Are you going to do a Bret Hart? Are you going to bust up cameras? Are you going to spit? Are you going to attack somebody?
Oh, he'll spit.
It would be nice to get some of that edge back that the WWE had back in the 90s with Stone Cold when you didn't know what was going to happen. That was one of the things with Stone Cold, even though it was all a work and it was all a bit. When you're watching it, you didn't know this guy's going to beat somebody up. This guy's going to destroy cameras. This guy's going to clock Vince when he's not looking. You never knew with Stone Cold, and that was why people always tuned in to watch Stone Cold. You didn't know what was going to happen next, and it'd be nice if the WWE was able to get some of that back.
And one of the biggest fans in wrestling, the biggest CM Punk fans in wrestling, Stone Cold. Stone Cold posted on Twitter, it's the best promo I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Full props. Every wrestler out there, MVP, they've all been posting how great this thing was.
Okay.
Even Jericho. And Batista, of all people.
And that's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. We've got no more time for wrestling news, but...
All right. Brant, my man, hi, how you doing?
Who?
He's actually been posting on my Facebook page about the entire CM Punk video.
Who?
Brant.
Brant who?
He's someone I know on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Hi, Brant.
I forget his last name. I think it's Brant. Brant Utley.
Oh, Brant!
Brant.
Brant. Sorry, Brant. He said Brant.
My man, Brant.
So go to the store's website, check out all his news, or go to Facebook too. Check out all his news.
Promo's still up there.
And where's the store's website at?
Sarah knows all this stuff, and she's a personal friend of CM Punk's.
www.myalternatereality.com. It's just like Kool-Aid. Add sugar and vodka.
So stop at the store's website, check out all his news. Until next time, this is Comic Book Man.
And Bo.
Saying, bye.
The Video Outhouse is brought to you by some of the finest people willing to work for free. This is a list of some of them.